In the summer of 2024, historian Dr. Sarah Mitchell made what would become one of the most disturbing discoveries in American photographic history. While sorting items from an estate sale in Salem, Massachusetts, she found a photograph that challenged everything experts thought they knew about early 20th century child photography. The image looked ordinary at first. A young girl about 8 years old stood in front of an ornate wooden fence in 1903. She wore a clean white dress with delicate lace trim, her dark hair pulled back with a silk ribbon. What first caught Dr. Mitchell's attention was the girl's bright, wide smile that seemed full of pure childhood joy. The photograph carried the raised mark of J. Morrison Photography Studio, Salem, Mass., along the bottom corner. For 1903, the picture quality was unusually sharp, showing every detail clearly from the patterns on the child's dress to the worn texture of the wooden fence behind her. The estate sale coordinator, Mrs. Eleanor Hartwell, explained that the photograph came from the old Blackwood family collection. The Blackwoods had been important mill owners in Salem for generations. This particular image had been locked inside a chest in the mansion's basement, along with dozens of other family photographs spanning several decades. Estate records showed the photograph had remained untouched for more than a century. The family had no close heirs, and most personal papers had been lost or destroyed, leaving the identities of the people in the pictures largely unknown. Dr. Mitchell specialized in early American childhood history and had examined thousands of similar images during her career. Yet something about this photograph made her buy it at once. The technical quality seemed almost too advanced for its time, and there was a strange quality in the child's expression that she could not quite explain. What she did not realize then was that she had just acquired a piece of evidence that would uncover one of Salem's most closely guarded secrets, a secret that had stayed hidden in plain sight for over 120 years. Back in her laboratory at Boston University, Dr. Mitchell began her usual examination using modern digital scanning equipment. The 8 by 10-inch print was in surprisingly good condition. It showed none of the fading, chemical stains, or physical damage common in early 1900s photographs. Under the high-resolution scanner, she noticed unusual features. The depth of field was extremely sharp for the period, and the lighting looked carefully controlled, suggesting expensive studio equipment that would have been rare in 1903 Salem. The digital scan revealed extraordinary detail. Every fold in the dress, every strand of hair, every grain in the wooden fence. When she enlarged the image, the smile stayed perfect even at 200%. At 400%, small inconsistencies appeared around the mouth. At 800%, Dr. Mitchell saw something that would stay with her for weeks. The child's eyes, which had looked bright and happy in the original, now appeared empty and hollow, as if staring through the camera rather than at it. She had spent 15 years studying historical photographs and had never seen anything like this. The technical impossibility of such detail in 1903, combined with the disturbing quality of the enlarged face, pointed to something far more complex than a simple family portrait. She checked her database of known Salem photographers. J. Morrison Photography Studio appeared in city records from 1901 to 1905, yet no other examples of Morrison's work existed in any museum or archive. It was as if this single photograph was the only surviving proof the studio had ever existed. Dr. Mitchell contacted the Salem Historical Society. Archivist Margaret Thompson confirmed the Blackwoods had been a successful but secretive family who owned 3 textile mills and employed nearly a quarter of the city's workforce. Records of Edmund Blackwood's children and activities around 1902 and 1903 were strangely sparse. Most wealthy families kept careful notes of births, deaths, and social events, but the Blackwood papers became thin during those years. There were references to Edmund's support of progressive medical research and child welfare studies, though the exact nature of the work was never detailed. Receipts showed large payments to various photographers, including several substantial sums paid to J. Morrison Photographic Services between 1902 and 1904, far more than normal portrait work would cost. A 1903 city directory listed the studio at 47 Chestnut Street, but when Dr. Mitchell visited, she found only a narrow alley between 2 buildings. City permits and licenses had been filed, yet there were no tax records, newspaper advertisements, or contemporary mentions of the business. Municipal records revealed something more troubling. In 1903, Salem recorded an unusually high number of childhood accidents and sudden illnesses among the children of wealthy families. Nearly every death certificate was signed by the same physician, Dr. Cornelius Whitmore, and used remarkably similar language. Whitmore had arrived in late 1901 claiming credentials from European medical schools that could not be verified. Within months he had established a private practice serving only the children of the city's industrial elite, including the Blackwoods. His specialty was listed as pediatric nervous disorders and developmental abnormalities. Medical journals of the period showed that the early 1900s were a time of experimental approaches to childhood psychology. Treatments later recognized as harmful were then considered advanced. Whitmore had published papers in obscure journals, advocating photographic documentation as a diagnostic tool for what he called constitutional melancholia in children. He described elaborate sessions meant to capture the essential nature of childhood disturbance and record the progress of treatment, often mentioning skilled photographic technicians capable of producing images of unprecedented clarity. Private letters between Whitmore and Edmund Blackwood, preserved in estate legal files, made the connection clearer. In a letter dated March 15, 1903, Whitmore wrote that photographic documentation continued to yield remarkable insights and that Morrison's technical innovations allowed them to capture details previously invisible to the naked eye. The subjects remained cooperative, and treatments were proceeding as planned. Blackwood's reply a week later stated that the work with the children had exceeded expectations and that financial arrangements with Morrison would continue as long as the documentation met specifications. Discretion remained paramount. Medical supply orders placed by Whitmore in 1903 and paid by the Blackwood Family Trust included large quantities of sedatives, restraints, and photographic chemicals, an unusual combination for a pediatric practice. When Dr. Mitchell shared enlarged sections of the photograph with a specialist in 19th-century medical practices, he said the vacant stare matched the effects of prolonged exposure to chloral hydrate or similar sedatives. The child appeared conscious, but completely dissociated from surroundings. Cross-referencing Whitmore's chemical purchases with death records showed a clear pattern. Mortality among children under his care rose sharply during the periods when his sedative orders peaked. Death certificates listed causes such as sudden cardiac failure or respiratory complications from nervous exhaustion, yet the similar wording and timing suggested an effort to hide the true circumstances. At least 6 other prominent Salem families, the Wessons, Pickerings, Havens, Storrows, Adams, and Phillipses, had made similar financial arrangements with both Whitmore and Morrison. Each family had lost at least one child between 1902 and 1904, after months of treatment and extensive photographic sessions. Technical analysis by a professor of photographic history confirmed the image-used processors and equipment not available until the 1920s. The tonal range, depth of field, and film grain structure pointed to large-format cameras and specialized lenses that simply did not exist in 1903. Either the photograph had been taken much later and artificially aged, or someone had access to technology 20 to 30 years ahead of its time. Patent records showed that someone using the name J. Morrison had filed several applications for improved photographic apparatus and optical systems between 1901 and 1903. These applications were sponsored by a group of Salem businessmen that included Edmund Blackwood and other families whose children had died under Whitmore's care. Customs records from Boston Harbor revealed imports of precision camera components, experimental lenses, and rare chemical compounds consigned to Morrison Technical Services in Salem. Genealogical and cemetery records allowed Dr. Mitchell to identify the children. The first breakthrough was Millicent Haven, age 8, who died on April 12, 1903, only weeks after the date written on the back of the photograph. Her parents, Charles and Victoria Haven, had been prominent in Salem society. Contemporary accounts described Millicent as bright and energetic until early 1903, when she began treatment with Whitmore for episodes of melancholic disposition. Her death certificate, signed by Whitmore, listed cardiac failure from constitutional weakness. A private letter from Victoria to her sister, written 3 months after the death, revealed growing doubts. She feared they had been terribly mistaken to trust Whitmore. In her final weeks, Millicent became distant and vacant, present in body but absent in spirit. The treatments seemed to drain all joy, leaving only a hollow shell. Victoria also described the long photographic sessions. Morrison would arrive with unusual equipment and spend hours photographing the child in various poses. Millicent smiled as instructed, but her eyes had become so empty. Similar patterns appeared with Thomas Pickering, age 7, who died in May 1903, and Caroline Wesson, age 9, who died in June. Family diaries and letters described the same decline from lively children into states of lethargy and disconnection, followed by extensive photography and unexplained death. Meeting minutes from the private Salem Progressive Medicine Society, founded in 1901 by Edmund Blackwood and other leading citizens, revealed the full scope. The group's stated purpose was to advance understanding of childhood development through innovative research. Private correspondence showed a darker agenda. Members believed traditional child-rearing among the wealthy produced children insufficiently hardened for modern industrial society. Whitmore had convinced them that controlled psychological stress, combined with pharmaceutical interventions, could strengthen constitutional fiber while eliminating weaknesses of character. Photographic documentation was necessary to track the supposed improvements. In a February 1903 letter, Whitmore wrote that experimental protocols continued to yield valuable data about the malleability of young minds under controlled stress. Some subjects possessed greater resilience. Those who failed to adapt were regrettably eliminated by the process itself, serving the goal of identifying and preserving only the strongest genetic lines among Salem's leadership families. What they had created was essentially a eugenics program, using their own children as experimental subjects under the guise of progressive medicine. The advanced photographic equipment allowed them to record subtle changes invisible to the naked eye, creating a systematic record of the children's decline into what Whitmore called constitutional compliance. The conspiracy operated with complete impunity because it involved the city's most powerful families, and the victims were their own children. No outside authorities questioned the high mortality rates when deaths were certified by a respected physician and attributed to natural causes. The program ended abruptly in late 1904 when medical authorities in Boston and New York began asking questions about the unusual death rates and Whitmore's methods. Rather than risk exposure, the society voted to terminate the work. Whitmore was quietly relocated to California with a substantial settlement, where he changed his name and started a new practice. Morrison disappeared entirely. The advanced equipment was dismantled and disposed of. Almost all documentation was gathered and destroyed. Death certificates were altered, supply records eliminated, and even city records for the photography studio were modified. The families maintained silence through shared guilt and the knowledge that exposing one child's death would implicate them in the others. By 2024, all the original participants were long dead. Most descendants had only vague awareness of something unspeakable in the family past. The photographs survived purely by accident, a single piece of evidence from a systematic program of child abuse and murder, carefully erased from official history. In her final analysis, Dr. Mitchell understood that the image of the smiling child, almost certainly Millicent Haven, was far more than a family portrait. It was proof of a conspiracy among Salem's elite to use their own children in a twisted eugenics experiment, documented with technology that captured the gradual destruction of young minds. The hollow eyes, visible only under extreme magnification, revealed the true horror: a child chemically and psychologically manipulated into dissociation, smiling on command while suffering profound trauma. The photograph's dual nature made it especially disturbing. To casual observers, it showed a happy, healthy child. Advanced technology captured the truth beneath, the emptiness that had replaced natural vitality. Dr. Mitchell's discovery exposed one of the darkest chapters in American medical history: systematic child abuse disguised as progressive science, carried out by those trusted to protect children, and hidden so thoroughly that it remained secret for more than 120 years. The image now stands as evidence of the lengths powerful people will go to advance twisted ideas, even at the cost of their own children's lives, and as a reminder that the most heinous crimes can be committed under the cover of respectability and scientific progress.